coffee cup against the cool metal of the observation deck's railing, watching the stars shimmer like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Station Kepler had been his home for 8 years now, and he never got tired of this view. 50,000 people called this place home, living and working in the spinning rings that created artificial gravity. Children played in the recreation sectors while their parents operated hydroponic farms, manufacturing facilities, and research labs. It was humanity's greatest achievement, a thriving city floating in the void between galaxies. The morning had started like any other. Jin had reviewed supply reports over breakfast, approved 3 new construction projects, and even managed to attend his daughter's school play via video link. Life on Station Kepler moved at its own peaceful rhythm, far from the conflicts and chaos of Earth. That's exactly why they had built it here. In the quiet emptiness of the Andromeda sector where no one would bother them, that peace shattered. In an instant, the space around Station Kepler rippled like water disturbed by thrown stones. Jin's coffee cup slipped from his hands, floating in the low-gravity section as 3 massive shapes materialized from nothing. The alien warships were unlike anything humanity had ever built. Each vessel stretched over 2 kilometers long, their hulls covered in what looked like living metal that pulsed with purple light. Weapon ports lined their sides like the eyes of some ancient sea creature, and energy fields crackled between towering spires that jutted from their backs. Jin's communicator buzzed frantically. "Commander, we have 3 unknown vessels on approach. Vectors," came the voice of Lieutenant Park Soo from the communications center. Even through the static, Jin could hear the fear in her voice. "Sir, they're massive. Our sensors are having trouble getting accurate readings, but they're at least 10 times larger than our biggest ships." "Red alert," Jin commanded, his training taking over even as his heart hammered against his ribs. "All civilians to emergency shelters, security teams to defense positions." He knew it was probably pointless. Station Kepler had been built for peaceful purposes, not war. Their weapons were designed to clear asteroid debris and defend against pirates, not face alien battleships. The central command center buzzed with activity when Jin arrived. Dozens of technicians worked at glowing consoles while holographic displays showed the 3 alien ships holding position just outside the station's defensive perimeter. Chief Engineer Kim Do looked up from a tactical display, his face pale but determined. "Commander, I've never seen ship designs like these. The energy readings are off the charts. Each one of those vessels generates more power than our entire station." Medical Officer Han Na rushed in from the civilian evacuation areas. "All emergency shelters are at capacity," she reported. "The children are scared, but the adults are keeping them calm." "How much time do we have?" Before Jin could answer, every communication device on the station crackled to life. The voice that emerged was cold and mechanical, processed through translation software that made it sound even more alien and threatening. "Inhabitants of the human construct, you are now property of the Vorthok Empire. You have 72 of your time periods to surrender control of your facility and submit to processing. Resistance will result in immediate termination. This is your only warning." The communication center fell silent except for the hum of electronics and the distant vibration of the station's life support systems. Jin looked around at his team. These weren't soldiers or warriors. Kim Do had been a civilian engineer before joining the colonial service. Han Na had volunteered for this mission to help sick children in remote colonies. Park Soo had signed up because she wanted to explore the stars, not fight aliens. "Sir," Park Soo said quietly, "I'm detecting smaller ships launching from the alien vessels. Looks like scout craft, maybe a dozen of them. They're conducting detailed scans of our hull structure and defense systems." Through the observation windows, Jin could see the scout ships moving like metallic insects around Station Kepler's outer rings. Green scanning beams swept across the hull plating, and he knew the aliens were mapping every weakness and vulnerability. They weren't just threatening the station. They were studying it like scientists examining a specimen. Commander Kim Do said, pulling up structural diagrams on his tablet. "If they're planning to take the station intact, that gives us some advantages. They can't just blow us apart if they want the facility undamaged. We might have options." Jin nodded slowly, his mind already working through possibilities. 72 hours wasn't much time, but it was more than he'd expected. The Vorthok Empire, whatever that was, clearly wanted Station Kepler for something specific. That meant they needed to keep most of it functional, which limited their attack options. "Call an emergency meeting of all department heads," Jin ordered. "We have 3 days to figure out how to save 50,000 lives and the future of human expansion into this sector." As his team scattered to their duties, Jin remained at the observation deck, watching the alien scouts continue their methodical examination of his home. Somewhere out there among the stars, Earth continued spinning, unaware that humanity's furthest outpost was about to face its greatest test. The next 48 hours transformed Station Kepler into something nobody had ever imagined. What had been a peaceful colony became a fortress under construction, with every corridor echoing the sounds of welding torches, drilling equipment, and hurried footsteps. Sleep became a luxury that few could afford as the clock ticked down toward the alien deadline. Chief Engineer Kim Do had turned the main engineering bay into a weapons factory. Industrial mining lasers, normally used to cut through asteroids, were being stripped from their heavy frames and fitted with portable power cells. These cutters can slice through 3 meters of solid rock, Kim Do explained to a group of volunteers as sparks flew from his welding torch. They should work just fine on alien armor too. His team worked frantically to modify plasma torches into handheld weapons, while others converted construction mechs into mobile defense platforms. The 20-foot-tall machines had been designed to move heavy equipment around the station's outer hull, but with armor plating welded to their frames and mining lasers mounted on their arms, they looked like mechanical warriors ready for battle. In the civilian sectors, Medical Officer Han Na moved like a whirlwind through the crowded emergency shelters. Children clutched toy robots and stuffed animals while their parents packed essential supplies into small bags. Remember, if the alarms sound, you go straight to the inner core shelters, Han Na told a group of families. The walls there are reinforced with titanium steel. Nothing's getting through. She had converted the central medical facility into a combat hospital, stockpiling supplies and setting up emergency surgery stations. The normally bright and cheerful pediatric ward now looked like a military field hospital, with medical drones hovering overhead ready to assist with casualties. Security Chief Choi Min faced the most challenging task of all. His regular security force numbered only 200 trained personnel, but thousands of civilians had volunteered to defend their home. The main recreation hall had become a training ground where teachers, shopkeepers, maintenance workers, and even teenagers learned to handle modified mining equipment as weapons. Point and hold steady, Choi Min instructed a nervous-looking bakery owner who gripped a plasma cutter with shaking hands. These aliens might be tough, but they still need to breathe and move. Hit them where it counts. Former military veterans stepped forward to help train the volunteers, sharing tactics from old Earth conflicts, adapted for fighting in the narrow corridors and zero-gravity sections of the space station. Communications Specialist Yang Bo had taken over the entire communications array, desperately trying to punch a message through the vast emptiness between galaxies. Her fingers flew across multiple keyboards as she boosted signal strength and adjusted frequencies. Come on, she muttered, watching signal indicators fluctuate on her screens. The nearest Earth fleet was 6 months away at maximum speed, but she kept transmitting anyway. Emergency beacons, distress signals, and detailed reports about the alien threat poured out into space. At least someone will know what happened here, she said to her assistant. Maybe they can prepare better defenses for the other colonies. The alien scouts continued their methodical examination of Station Kepler, their green scanning beams penetrating deep into the station structure. Through the observation windows, residents could see the sleek craft hovering around the outer rings like mechanical vultures. The 3 massive Vorthok warships maintained their position, occasionally rotating to bring different weapon arrays to bear on the station. Energy readings spiked whenever the alien ships powered up their systems, causing lights to flicker throughout Station Kepler as their sensors detected the massive power fluctuations. Lie between different sections of the station, coordinating the desperate preparations. In the hydroponic farms, agricultural specialists showed him how they had weaponized crop spraying drones, loading them with industrial solvents that could eat through metal. The manufacturing sector had retooled their 3D printers to produce improvised explosives and armor plating. Even the children contributed, using their small size to crawl through maintenance shafts and place sensors that would detect alien boarding parties. As the second day drew to a close, exhausted residents gathered in small groups to share meals and quiet conversations. Parents read stories to their children in the shelters while volunteers took shifts monitoring the alien vessels. The station's restaurants had opened their food stores to everyone, creating a sense of community even in the face of annihilation. Whatever happens tomorrow, one elderly resident told Jin, we built something beautiful here. Nobody can take that away from us. The alien warships began moving closer as the final hours approached, their hulls glowing brighter with contained energy. Smaller escort vessels emerged from their launch bays, forming attack formations around the three massive ships. The Vorthok fleet looked like a constellation of deadly stars surrounding Station Kepler, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Yang Bo finally received a response to her distress signals. A crackling message from a deep space monitoring station near Earth. Message received. Fleet deployment authorized. Estimated arrival time, 6 months, 12 days. Hold position, reinforcements coming. She stared at the display, knowing that 6 months might as well be 6 centuries given their current situation. Jin stood once again at the observation deck, watching his people make final preparations. 50,000 human lives depended on the choices he would make in the next 24 hours. Behind him, Station Kepler hummed with determined activity as ordinary people prepared to do extraordinary things to protect their home among the stars. The docking bay fell silent as the alien shuttle settled onto the landing platform with barely a whisper. Unlike human ships that roared and thundered with engine noise, the Vorthok craft moved with an eerie grace that made everyone's skin crawl. The shuttle itself looked more grown than built, its organic curves pulsing with the same purple light that ran through the massive warships outside. Steam hissed from its surface as the airlock began to cycle open. Commander Jin stood at the center of the docking bay with 20 of his senior staff arranged behind him. They wore their best uniforms, freshly pressed and decorated with the patches of their home colonies. Chief Engineer Kim Do clutched a data tablet showing the station's technical specifications, while Medical Officer Han Na kept her hands steady despite the tremor Jin could see in her shoulders. Security Chief Choi Min had positioned armed guards at strategic points around the bay. Though everyone knew their standard weapons would be useless against alien technology, the airlock finished cycling with a deep, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate through the station's hull. What emerged from the alien craft defied every science fiction movie Jin had ever watched. The Vorthok commander stood nearly 3 meters tall, his elongated form covered in what looked like living armor that shifted and flowed like liquid metal. 4 arms extended from his torso, each ending in hands that contained too many fingers with joints that bent in impossible directions. His head resembled a mix between an insect and something from the deep ocean, with multiple eyes arranged in clusters and mandibles that clicked together when he spoke. Behind the commander came his escort, 6 warriors that looked even more intimidating. Their armor was darker and more angular, with weapon systems built directly into their bodies. Energy weapons hummed along their arms, while sensor arrays swept back and forth like mechanical antennae. They moved with perfect coordination, each step synchronized as if they shared a single mind. The commander's voice filled the docking bay through translation devices that made every word sound like metal scraping against stone. I am War Leader Kelter of the Vorthok, 3rd Conquest Fleet. You will identify the leader of this construct so that formal surrender may be processed. Jin stepped forward, his boots clicking against the metal deck plating. I'm Commander Lee. Jin, Administrator of Station Kepler. Welcome to our home. He kept his voice steady, though his heart hammered against his ribs as those alien eyes focused on him. Kelter's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Your home belongs to the Vorthok Empire now, primitive creature. You will order your population to report for processing. Those suitable for labor will be relocated to work facilities. The others will be eliminated to prevent resource waste. The casual way the alien spoke about eliminating thousands of people sent ice through Jin's veins. Around the docking bay, he could see his staff struggling to maintain their composure. Han Na had gone pale, while Kim Do's knuckles turned white as he gripped his tablet. I'm afraid that's not acceptable, Jin replied, surprised by how calm his own voice sounded. Station Kepler is a sovereign human colony. We don't surrender to anyone. The alien commander's multiple eyes seemed to focus more intently on Jin, as if seeing him clearly for the first time. Perhaps you do not understand the situation, human administrator. Your species is inferior, your technology is primitive, your resistance is meaningless. He gestured with one of his upper arms, and the warriors behind him raised their weapons. Through the docking bay's observation windows, everyone could see one of the massive alien warships rotating to bring its main batteries to bear on Station Kepler's outer ring. Energy built up along the ship's weapon arrays, creating a brilliant blue-white glow that hurt to look at directly. The beam that lanced out lasted only seconds, but when it faded, an entire section of the station's agricultural ring was simply gone, vaporized. thousands of tons of metal, equipment, and growing food reduced to glowing particles that drifted away into space. Alarms blared throughout the station as emergency bulkheads sealed the damaged sections. Jin could hear people screaming in the distance, though he was relieved to know that section had been evacuated hours earlier. Still, watching part of his home destroyed so casually made his hands clench into fists. Impressive demonstration, Jin said, refusing to look away from the alien commander. But you just proved something important. You need this station intact, or you would have destroyed it completely. That means we have something you want. Kelter's mandibles clicked more rapidly, a sign that Jin had struck a nerve. You will kneel before the might of the Vorthok Empire, or I will execute you as an example to your people. Jin looked around at his staff, seeing fear in their eyes, but also determination. These people had left everything behind on Earth to build a new life among the stars. They had worked for years to create something beautiful and peaceful in the cold emptiness of space. Behind the alien commander, he could see Yang Bo at her communication station, her fingers hovering over a set of controls that would trigger the first of their hidden surprises. This is our home, Jin declared, standing as tall as he could manage. We built it with our own hands. We raised our children here. We won't abandon it to you or anyone else. The alien commander raised one of his weapon arms, energy crackling along its length as it charged a fire. Then you will die as an example to the others. Yang Bo's fingers slammed down on her controls. Hidden charges that Kim Do's engineering teams had spent 3 days installing throughout the docking bay detonated simultaneously. The explosions weren't meant to kill the aliens, but to blind their senses and create chaos. Smoke and debris filled the air as emergency lights flickered on and off. The battle for Station Kepler had begun. The explosion in the docking bay was just the beginning. As smoke cleared and emergency lights cast eerie shadows through the corridors, the real fighting began. The Vorthok warriors had expected their superior technology to end the conflict within hours, but they quickly discovered that Station Kepler was unlike any target they had conquered before. Kim Do's modified mining lasers cut through alien armor like hot knives through butter. The industrial-grade plasma cutters, originally designed to slice through asteroid rock, proved devastatingly effective against the Vorthok's living metal suits. In Corridor 7, a team of maintenance workers led by Foreman Park J cornered 3 alien soldiers. The narrow hallway erupted in brilliant flashes as plasma beams met energy shields, creating a light show that could be seen through the observation windows. When the smoke cleared, the humans had claimed their first victory. Though 2 of their friends lay wounded on the deck, the aliens quickly learned to avoid the main corridors, but that played directly into Choi Min's strategy. His volunteer fighters knew every maintenance shaft, service tunnel, and hidden passage in the station. Teachers and shopkeepers who had lived on Station Kepler for years became deadly guerrilla warriors, appearing from ventilation grates and storage compartments to strike at alien patrols before vanishing again into the station's mechanical systems. Lee Young, a kindergarten teacher who had never held a weapon in her life, led a devastating attack on an alien squad in the recreation sector. She had hidden with 5 other civilians in the ball pit of the children's playground, using modified construction tools to cut through the floor beneath an alien patrol. When the warriors fell through into the maintenance level below, the humans were waiting with plasma torches and industrial adhesive that trapped the aliens long enough to finish them off. The medical bay had become the heart of human resistance. Han-Na had transformed the normally peaceful healing center into a fortress, with barricades made from surgical equipment and automated medical drones reprogrammed as combat units. The small flying robots, originally designed to assist with operations, now carried explosive charges and homing devices that allowed them to track alien life signs through the station's ventilation system. Wounded defenders arrived at the medical bay in a constant stream, burns from alien energy weapons, cuts from exploding bulkheads, and exhaustion from fighting in the station's cramped quarters. Han-Na worked without sleep, her surgical skills keeping fighters alive so they could return to battle. Patch them up and send them back, she told her medical team. Though her heart broke each time she had to treat someone she had delivered as a baby or watched grow up on the station, the aliens' advanced weapons became a disadvantage in the tight confines of the space station. Their energy rifles, designed for open battlefield combat, were too powerful for close quarters fighting. When fired at full strength, the beams punched through multiple bulkheads, potentially breaching the station's hull and exposing everyone to the vacuum of space. The Vorthok warriors found themselves forced to fight with reduced power settings. Evening the odds against the humans' improvised weapons, Commander Jin moved through the battle zones like a ghost, coordinating resistance efforts and inspiring his people to keep fighting. In the hydroponics section, he found a group of farmers using crop-spraying drones loaded with industrial acid to attack alien positions from above. The drones, no bigger than dinner plates, swarmed through the artificial gardens like angry insects, their chemical payloads eating through alien armor and forcing the warriors to retreat. The most spectacular battle took place in the main engineering section, where Kim-Do had turned the massive fusion reactor chamber into a trap. When a full squad of 12 Vorthok warriors entered the reactor room, Kim-Do sealed the blast doors and began venting superheated plasma from the secondary cooling system. The aliens' armor protected them from the heat, but the plasma interfered with their sensors and communication systems. Human defenders hiding behind radiation shielding picked off the confused warriors one by one with mining lasers. As the fighting entered its second day, both sides began to show signs of exhaustion. The humans had lost nearly 300 defenders, but they had also eliminated over half of the alien boarding force. The Vorthok commander, war leader, Kelter, found his conquest turning into a nightmare of endless corridor, fighting against an enemy that refused to surrender or retreat. Yang Bao's communication center had become a vital hub for coordinating the resistance. Her equipment, originally designed to send messages across interstellar distances, now tracked alien movements throughout the station and coordinated human strike teams. Alien patrol heading toward Section C7, she would announce over the internal communication system, Civilian Team Beta, they're walking right into your ambush zone. The station's artificial gravity became another weapon in the human arsenal. Chief Engineer Kim-Do had modified the gravity generators to create zero-gravity zones where human defenders, more experienced with weightless movement, could outmaneuver the aliens. In the cargo bay, a team of dock workers used magnetic boots to walk on the ceiling while aliens floated helplessly in the center of the room, perfect targets for plasma cutter attacks. Children too young to fight served as messengers, crawling through maintenance shafts too small for adults to carry supplies and information between resistance cells. Their small size and knowledge of the station's hidden spaces made them nearly invisible to alien sensors. By the third day, Jin realized something incredible was happening. The humans weren't just surviving, they were winning. Not through superior technology or greater numbers, but through something the aliens couldn't understand: the absolute refusal to give up their home. The fourth day of battle found war leader Kelter barricaded in Station Kepler's central command hub, surrounded by the bodies of his fallen warriors. Of the 200 elite soldiers he had brought to secure this simple human outpost, fewer than 30 remained alive. His living armor bore scorch marks from plasma weapons, and one of his 4 arms hung useless at his side from a direct hit by a mining laser. The conquest that should have taken hours had become a week-long nightmare of corridor fighting against an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. Outside the command center, the sounds of battle continued. Human voices shouted coordinates and battle plans through the communication systems, while the distinctive whine of modified industrial equipment echoed through the corridors. These primitive creatures had turned their own space station into a weapon against him, using every tool and system as part of their resistance. Even the cleaning robots had been reprogrammed to carry explosives, turning routine maintenance into deadly ambushes. Commander Jin appeared at the entrance to the command center, his uniform torn and stained with blood from a dozen minor wounds. Behind him stood Chief Engineer Kim-Do, Security Chief Choi-min, and a handful of other human defenders. They carried weapons that had been cobbled together from mining equipment and construction tools, yet they moved with the confidence of seasoned warriors. Jin's eyes met those of the alien commander, and Kelter saw something there that made his mandibles click nervously. "It's over," Jin said quietly, his voice carrying clearly through the damaged command center. "Your fleet is surrounded by our automated defense platforms. My engineer here has turned every piece of equipment on this station into a weapon pointed at your ships. You have maybe 20 soldiers left, and I have 40,000 humans who are willing to die to protect their home." Kelter's remaining warriors raised their weapons, but their movements were slow and uncertain. They had been fighting for days without rest, their armor systems running on backup power, their ammunition running low. The humans facing them looked exhausted too, but there was something unbreakable in their stance that the alien commander had never encountered before. Through the command center's observation windows, Kelter could see the 3 massive Vorthok warships still holding position around the station. But now those ships were surrounded by clouds of small objects that hadn't been there when the battle started. Mining probes, construction drones, and cargo containers had been launched from the station and fitted with explosive charges. Kim's engineering teams had turned the station's entire inventory of space-based equipment into a minefield that threatened the alien fleet. "You fought well, human administrator," Kelter admitted, his translation device making his words sound almost respectful. "But you cannot defeat the entire Vorthok Empire. More fleets will come, larger fleets. You have only delayed your inevitable submission." Jin stepped closer, ignoring the alien weapons pointed at him. "Maybe you're right. Maybe more fleets will come, but they'll find us ready. And when they do, they'll face the same choice you're facing right now." He gestured toward the damaged command center, where human defenders had turned every piece of equipment into fortifications. "You can keep fighting and watch the rest of your soldiers die in these corridors, or you can leave and tell your empire what you learned here." The alien commander's multiple eyes studied Jin's face, searching for weakness or deception. Instead, he found only iron determination backed by the quiet confidence of someone who had already won the only victory that mattered. Behind Jin, the other humans waited with their improvised weapons, ready to fight to the last person if necessary. Communications specialist Yang Bo's voice crackled through the damaged speakers. "Commander Jin, I'm detecting movement from the alien fleet. They're powering up their engines." On the tactical displays, the 3 Vorthok warships had begun to move, their massive hulls rotating away from the station. The smaller escort vessels that had been conducting combat operations were returning to their motherships, the crews apparently receiving withdrawal orders. Kelter's mandibles clicked rapidly as he processed information from his own fleet. "Commanders, the reports were devastating. His forces had lost over 70% of their strength fighting an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. The humans had turned their own space station into a fortress that seemed to regenerate its defenses faster than the aliens could destroy them. Every corridor cleared had been retaken within hours. Every position secured had become a trap. Your species is unexpected," Kelter said finally. "The Vorthok Empire has conquered 17 different civilizations. All of them surrendered. When faced with our superior technology, you are the first to increase your resistance instead of diminishing it." Commander Lee Jin pressed High Commander Jin moved. Constant Jin nodded slowly. "That's because this isn't just a space station to us. It's our home. Our children were born here. Our friends and families live here. We built every corridor, every room, every system with our own hands. You can't just take that away from people and expect them to accept it quietly." The alien commander issued orders in his own language, and his remaining warriors began to lower their weapons. "I will report to the Empire that this system is unsuitable for conquest. The resources required would exceed the potential gains." As the surviving Vorthok soldiers filed out of the command center, Kelter paused at the entrance. "You should know, human administrator, that word of this battle will spread. Other species will hear that a small human outpost defeated a Vorthok conquest fleet. This will change how the galaxy sees your people." Jin watched the aliens leave, their forms disappearing into the corridors where so many of their comrades had fallen. Through the observation windows, he could see the 3 massive warships beginning their departure, their hulls still glowing with contained energy, but their weapons no longer aimed at the station. Yang Bo's excited voice filled the command center. "Commander, I'm receiving communications from 12 different star systems. They want to know how we did it, how we beat the Vorthok Empire." Medical Officer Han-Na appeared at Jin's side, her medical scanner reading his vital signs. "You need treatment for those wounds," she said gently, "and about 48 hours of sleep." Jin looked around at the damaged command center, where his people were already beginning repairs. Outside, Station Kepler continued its eternal rotation, carrying 50,000 human lives safely through the void between galaxies. They had faced the worst the galaxy could throw at them and emerged victorious, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the simple human refusal to surrender their home. The end.